What can I tell you about my history? I've been thrown out of some of the best universities in the world, and you're going to get the benefit. So we are, of course, talking about consensus decision-making today. Okay, so what I'm showing you here is a process that was used by what was called the Panel Wheel Alliance, which was a group of activists, different organizations got together in Louisville, Kentucky, and this is pretty much what they were doing, okay, to reach a consensus in their large meetings. So the first step would be just to explain the process, of course, so everybody knows what we're doing. Then the next thing would be some issue or proposal comes up. So there would immediately be questions, people didn't understand the proposal. And after that, there would be a test for a consensus. So there'd be a poll, we'd see how many people are for, how many people are against. Now, if we didn't get a consensus on that first step, okay, then we would go to hearing the objection. So every person who was opposed on this first poll would then get to say what they had to say, and there would be an attempt to amend their proposal so it was acceptable to those people who didn't like it the first time. So if you can get a consensus then, that's great. If not, you again hear from the people who are still opposed and try to make the proposal something that everybody is going to agree to. Now, if that doesn't work, okay, then you ask a few people left to stand aside. In other words, not to vote against it. And then you can get a consensus. And if those 2 or 3 people won't do it, then you just have a majority rule vote. So, in terms of using this, I think over 90% of the time a consensus would be reached. I think it's actually higher than that. Because normally, when you got to the end of this, it's just a couple of people. And everybody in the room would be groaning, and they would just stand aside, So, the advantage of this kind of thing compared to what we have been doing and what the other Occupy groups have been doing is that we don't try to balance 2 things that are contradictory. All right, one thing we want to do is get everybody a chance to talk. The other thing we want to do is to reach a decision. So, in Spain, for instance, in Madrid, they had this strict consensus rule, which meant that you had 5 people crossing their arms, blocking a decision, 5,000, 10,000 other people saying, what are we going to do? This is not going to work. And then, of course, somebody said, well, we can't have this. Let's pass a new rule so that it doesn't require 100%. And of course, those 5 people who were crossing their arms, they of course crossed their arms again, and that was the way it went. So what I'm trying to do here is show you that instead of just having one number, like 90% or 2/3 or 100% in agreement, you could have a situation where you can get to a consensus through the process, okay? And you could still, for instance, use majority vote at the end. If you have to still make the decision, you've heard from everyone, and you can't get a total agreement. Because this technique that has been sort of the dominant one in the Occupy encampments has not really worked very well.